What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the PCE data report that just came out and talk about some very important levels, also some trade setups that are starting to develop on the charts. But just note that I'm not a financial planner, and then don't forget to smash the like button. Anyways, for the markets, I just want to mention that right now the markets are a little bit green in the pre-market session, but the question is, what kind of reaction we're going to get off this resistance levels, and will the market end up attempting to bounce later on for today? So I'll be talking more about that in just a minute. Just note that for today, we just got the PCE, excuse me, the PCE data report. Everything was once again aligned with expectations. Core PCE was at 0.2%. Personal income month over month was at 0.3%. Besides that, we had the PCE month over month for all items at 0.2%. And then year over year was at 2.5% for all items, with core being at 2.6%. Everything was aligned with expectations on all these different metrics. So, not bad whatsoever. Once again, not bad news for the Fed. As a result, we're actually seeing that there is an estimated 69.5% chance we get a 25 basis point cut and about a 30% chance we get a 50 basis point one. So, not bad whatsoever. Now, we also have the Chicago PMI coming out at 9:45 a.m. So look for some volatility then. And then at 10 o'clock a.m., we also have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report. We'll see what kind of reaction we get to all of this. One thing I was mentioning is that for the markets, today we have over 500,000 of these calls expiring, and we have over 1.5 million puts expiring with a 2.87 puts to call ratio. For Tesla, I didn't see too much news that came out. There's some talk about the Tesla Model Y Juniper refresh. There's a lot of talk about it coming out potentially next year in Q1. That's a strong possibility, but these are just what reports suggest. They're not always super accurate. They can't always guarantee everything. So we'll see how it goes. So as far as Tesla goes, with this potentially coming out, that would be very cool. This is what we're seeing. Some photos are actually coming out for what it could end up looking like. So from how I view things, I think that's a good piece of news. If they do end up releasing something that's just like this, I think that would be pretty awesome. It would drive sales up. So we'll see if there's any updates on this, but that's what I'm seeing at least on these main headlines, at least for the time being. There's also some news that in China, they're recalling about 870 of the Model X vehicles over the roof trim issue. And this was actually making a lot of news a couple of days ago about how Tesla had to, do what they had to do to repair a physical recall over this. It happened in the US. They had about 9,000 of them affected. This involves the 2016 Model X's because of what was found by the NHTSA. Now, this also affects about 870 imported Model X's in China as well. So that's going to be important for Tesla to get that fixed as soon as possible. Besides that, now let's focus on what's going on with, Tesla and the others. So with the data release, Tesla has this resistance at this 210 area R20 EMA. If that breaks, we're going up to about 212, which is where we have the next set of EMAs. Break 212, we're going to be looking for a push all the way up to about 215 plus. If you reject here, we're going to be looking for a dip back down to 207 to fill that gap. But one thing that's worth mentioning is that Tesla's nearing a bullish cross in the PPO. When this happens, this oftentimes leads to Tesla pushing. So I think there could be a bounce attempt, but we'll be watching to see if we dip first. So the best thing I'll tell you is just watch your levels very carefully, watch supply and demand, watch and see how we end up reacting to these key supports. And in my personal opinion, I think that it's very important to be very open-minded with everything that tends to go on. That's going to be, very key. So I personally think that with the way Tesla's moving, what could end up happening is we dip to our support right over here and we see buyers defend. If we establish another higher low, if we don't go down to 205, we actually go down to like 206, 207, 208, if we dip just a little bit like that, and we bounce here, then I think Tesla could start pushing higher. We could be looking for a move back up to 212 plus, if not above that. Especially because it's a Friday, there's a chance that they may try to push things. It's the last day of the month, and it's the last day before a long weekend. So there could be a decent move in the markets, right? There's a very good amount of potential for that. So for Tesla, if we break past 210, look for 212. If we lose 207, we're going to 205. Or maybe we could actually get bought back up a little bit above that. If we dip a little bit here, so I think there might be a little dip coming. Watch and see if buyers defend. If they do defend, we could be looking for a move back up. We could be looking for a push potentially forming in Tesla and the broader markets. For SPY, we pushed a little bit with the PCE data release. Now we're starting to dip. We're barely at 560. If that fails, if we lose 560, we could come down to fill this gap or dip a little bit for a 1 point retracement. But then if we get bought back up again, okay, we have a higher low that was established, or we had a low that was established here. Then we made a higher low. If we make another higher low here, then there could be a move to the upside coming, and this could favor a nice bounce later on for the day. So what I'm saying is if we get this dip like this, right, that would be completely normal. But if we hold this support, if we hold above 558 like this, and we don't end up hitting this low, I would presume that they might try to push things higher back up like this, and possibly even try to break the highs. So we could be looking for a move once again to cause a squeeze for Friday. If we break past 560, you're looking at 562 to 563. If that breaks, we're going up to at least 565 or above. So I just want to call that out. There's potential for us to bounce like that. Now, we're going to be looking for a little bit of a dip to start us up to watch and see where we get bought back up. If we lose 558, we could turn more bearish and start dipping to 555. If we hold above 558, then we do have potential for the bounce move I'm talking about. So watch for that very carefully. For ES, it's the same thing essentially. I'm anticipating we're going to be dipping a little bit. I think we might be dipping kind of similar to SPY. We might dip just like this, but then we'll be watching to see if we get bought back up as time goes on to see the next leg higher. If we establish a higher low compared to these lows, that could happen. But if we lose this low like this at 5,600, then I will have a different view, and that's going to open the doors for us to potentially dip to the lows all over again. So it's looking to me like we might dip a little bit, but I presume we might actually start establishing higher low and start pushing. That seems more probable to me. For Nvda, Nvidia is holding its 200 EMA at this 117 area. So, we could dip again to test 117, but if we balance or at least continue to hold this, there's going to be a move back up towards 122 coming. If we close below 117 two times in a row, we're going to be looking for a big move all the way down to 115, if not this 111 area. But in my opinion, there's a chance that we might try to hold. We're holding key support at 117. We might dip again and try to bounce. If we hold 117, look for a bounce on Nvidia. If we lose it, it is what it is, but that's the level I just want to call out. Bitcoin, we'll be watching to see if we hold this support at 59,000. Look at resistance at basically the 60,000 area and 61,000. We could break this and start feeling this imbalance towards 62,000. So I could be looking for a bounce off this double bottom. We'll see, guys. We have this low in our liquidity grab, excuse me. Then we came back up, established a higher low. So this could try to push higher again. And we have that imbalance to fill. So it makes me suspect that there could be some upside coming. For the QQQ, we're basically attempting to rebound. One thing that's happening is the bullish crossover in the PPO is starting to form right here. This oftentimes signifies we might see an uptrend. So one thing I just want everyone to pay attention to is the fact that we have this low here at 464. We came up, made a higher low. We came back up. Are we going to come down to fill this gap towards 471, which is just about a 2 to 3 point dip? And then are we going to bounce and start breaking? If we break out from these highs, then we could be looking for a bigger push on the QQQ. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to be looking at support at 473. If we lose that, look for this gap fill in the 471s, then potentially a bounce, and we could start pushing back up higher just like that. And that could be what's about to happen, at least for today. It's a Friday. And they may try to give us a good close because of the fact that it is the end of August. For Aapl, we're starting to dip as well. We might dip towards, if 230 doesn't hold, so we could get closer to 228. Could be a little bit of a dip, and then we'll see if we get a bounce off that or not. We have 232 as resistance, watch 230 and then 228 as our supports. We could be dipping a little bit lower and try to rebound, and we'll watch and see how things end up going from here. For the IWM Russell 2000, we could dip a little bit. We could dip towards this trend line all the way back to 219, then start bouncing for 221, and eventually higher levels like 222. So I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. This could also be forming a nice cup and handle like structure, so this technically has some bullish confluences. But we need confirmation. We need to break past 221 to really start pushing. So look for a dip. We'll see if we hold this trend line. If we lose this, we're going down to 216. If we lose this, we go down to 216. If we hold this, we try to rebound. So watch for a test today. For others out there like Coinbase, coin is dipping as well. We have to watch this 188 area. If we lose that, we're going down to 183. If we hold this, we could rebound to the 192. So I'll be watching that. For Amazon, we're also forming a bullish structure as well in the 4-hour time frame. If we dip a little bit on Amazon and establish a higher low compared to these lows, we could be looking for a big bounce and a push for 175. If we reject and we end up losing 172, look for a dip. We have a low here. We came up, made a higher low and came up. So we could try to push higher for these imbalance fills. For Meta is also trying to rebound in a very similar fashion. Notice that we had this low down here at 512. We came back up. We came down, made a higher low. Now we're trying to push. At 524 breaks, we'll be looking for a much bigger pump all the way up towards from the 530 area. If we lose 519, look for a dip. I suspect we might actually dip towards 519, maybe a little bit lower. But as long as we establish a higher low compared to 515, this might try to rebound as well. So I'll be watching to see where the low happens to be. Look for a dip in the morning and see if we bounce. Microsoft is likely going to dip to at least 413. If we establish a higher low compared to what we saw yesterday, we could try to rebound for that 418 target. Google, look for a dip back down to about 136, 163, excuse me, and watch to see if we get a bounce. That's going to be key for us as well. So in my view, I'm seeing a very similar setup that's developing. We look for a little bit of a dip on Tesla and see if Tesla establishes a higher low. Do we end up making a higher low compared to 206, or do we rebound? It's possible Tesla's trying to break out right now as we're trying to make higher lows. And if we do dip a little bit, if we get a bounce from here, we're going to try to continue to push. The PPO is turning a little bit more bullish, so I see potential in Tesla. It's the last day of the month and the last day before a long weekend. The market's going to be closed on the Monday that's coming up. So we have a 3-day weekend ahead of us, so we'll see how things go. But I just want to call this out, guys. Be very, very ready for these levels to pan out, and we'll see if we get a dip. We'll see if we get bought up at those levels or not. If we do it, then there could be a bounce coming, so watch for that. All right. I thank you for listening, guys. Have a great day, and peace out.